We do know that these new rules, according to sources, again, the Biden administration and the Commerce Department have not confirmed these reports, but essentially that these new rules will be announced perhaps as early as this week to essentially strengthen the export restrictions that the United States has on, essentially formalize or codify some of these export restrictions on advanced semiconductors in areas that China obviously wants to dominate in the world, and that is in supercomputing and in AI. And of course, they would like to go up the value chain in higher than or better than 14 nanometer technology on chips. So these new rules will help strengthen those export restrictions. It includes formalizing export restrictions on tech that makes those advanced semiconductors, also prohibits the sale of tools for logic and memory chip production in China, and also will restrict access to chips used in supercomputing and artificial intelligence. Again, we had those rules last month, I believe it was in early September. Essentially, these new guidelines will codify those export restrictions that were recently imposed on NVIDIA and also AMD. NVIDIA has about 95% share of the high-end AI accelerator chip market, and AMD has the rest. So this does potentially levy a severe blow to China's ambitions in the AI space and other supercomputing areas.
So, Steve, how different or tougher are these new rules than what's currently in place?
Yeah, well, right now there is, under certain circumstances, of course, U.S. chip technologies can be exported to China, but in the lower end technologies, lower end, I should say, than 14 nanometer. Essentially, under current guidelines, U.S.-based chip equipment makers, the equipment makers like Applied Materials or AMAT, they've been allowed to sell machinery to China or equip some Chinese companies with machinery to produce less advanced semiconductors. What this will likely do is codify or formalize these export restrictions. The new steps will take on the technology to make those 14 nanometer chips or better. And again, that is key to China's ambitions. Now, prior actions, these new rules are going to be levied or announced by the Commerce Department. Previous steps that have been made by members of Congress, they've really taken action on national security grounds like Huawei. This potentially by the Commerce Department would essentially formalize the governing of these export restrictions on advanced technologies. So we'll have to see what's in the proof will be in the pudding in the wording of these new rules, but it'll be interesting to see later this week if and when they do announce them.